It's like my favorite camera to shoot on.
I didn't even know they made that, to be honest.
Yeah, so that was one that they released before they released the A7R4, before they released the A7 IV. It was like, around 2019.
Gotcha.
And so the reason I traded in my Sony A7 III for it was because it had that flip out screen. So it turns this way, flips out, and it's in a crop sensor
Why
body.
is the A7 III more?
It shouldn't be more.
I thought.
Well, I think it's not more. This is just for the body. Because, the lid...
Okay, yeah, because the body for the A7 III is like 1,500.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Damn.
Let me see. A7 III, body. I guess it just depends on where
Does it say on Best Buy?
It's like, what, 2,000 maybe?
Yeah, it's saying it's 2,000.
That's crazy. Yeah, the Sony A7C, it's like literally the A7 III, but in a crop sensor body.
I might have to look because we use the twos. So
the twos? Oh, yeah.
They're good.
Yeah,
don't get me
yeah.
wrong, but
No, they're
for us, what we're doing, having to stop every 30 minutes.
Yeah. And that's
the shitty part.
And the Sony A7C, it's like great, no recording limit, and then again, because it's a crop sensor, you can throw it on a stabilizer and freaking add a mic to it, maybe even like a monitor. Sometimes I'll do that, so it's dope. Nice. I tell people all the time, like, if you want an inexpensive, amazing camera that you can do S-Log, color grade, really good footage with. You can, again, no recording limit, doesn't heat up. It has the same batteries as like the bigger one, so long battery life.
Yeah.
I tell people and if you're like into YouTube, into vlogging,
that might be what we go with.
That might, because we were gonna get the threes. We were gonna get the A7 threes.
I would say the C's.
The C's,
and especially because it's newer, so it's a newer body, has the capacity for the updates, and like I said, that flip out screen is gonna be like nice, you could actually see yourself and not have to go behind the camera.
I don't know why it took them so long to do that on the other camera, because they have it on the A600s and the A6400.
Yeah. It was annoying. It was like, and everybody in the Sony community was like, why don't you give us
the
this?
A60? Those are on top though, right? Not to the side.
The A64, yeah, the A6400, the A6600, I think is the one that had it on the side. Yeah, the A64, A65, A63, all just did that flip out.
And then they made the ZV1.
I know, dude.
But that took them long to make because they already had the GX7 out for a while. Then they made the ZV1, which is like basically the same camera.
I've heard a lot of good things about that FX3 and the FX30. For me, like I said, for what I do, I've been using the A7C for over 2 years now. I've done like everything with from like.
You don't necessarily need a cinema camera either.
Yeah, not really, but it's nice.
It's nice to have.
But at the same time, it's also like you can learn how to kind of edit that style.
Yeah.
So that's where it's, again, if that's primarily what I'm going to do, then I would go that route. But because I do such a wide variety of work, you know what I mean? I do like liquor and food and beverage, and then I would do like fitness, and then I'll do real estate. So for me, that camera just works because the way I can color grade and the way I use it, it's like the best thing in the world.
I kind of want to keep that in, so you can go ahead.
Yeah, we can do that.
I like
I've
that
actually been wanting to
conversation.
talk to you about kind of just rolling into it a little better.
But just go ahead and introduce her real quick. But I'm going to keep that in. I like that conversation.
Definitely. Well, if you guys don't know, this is AKA David Aguilar, Ariel Austin. Lovely guest. We kind of connected through Matt. We had Matt on to Smoke Game Strong. Make sure you guys go get his tickets. Barbecue event April 29th. Are you gonna be
You're gonna be there?
Oh, yeah,
we'll
be there. The event. Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna be
we're gonna be doing some filming stuff too.
Yeah, we're gonna do like a little vlog. Like we go try all the spots. People follow us around the camera. Like that kind of
interview the pit masters and whatnot. Yep. So
he's gonna get some great people.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Oh man, KG Barbecue. Have y'all had KG?
So I haven't had any. All the people he named, I have not had.
Bro.
I need to go there. I need to go to Interstellar.
Interstellar, hands down. Like the pork belly.
I've never been there.
Yeah, pork belly is like. I was never. I'm Hispanic, born and raised. Yeah. So to me, barbecue, the way we make it, it has like a lot of sauce. I never liked that. So when I ended up coming here, meeting Matt, he opened me up to like this whole new world of barbecue. But when I went to Interstellar, they're like, oh yeah, pork belly, and I'm like, pork belly. It just sounded gross. But they do a peach glaze on it, and I ate that thing, dude. Like that to me, every time I go somewhere now, I need to have pork belly if it's there.
If it's there,
yeah.
Where are you originally from?
Brownsville, Texas. Yep.
My parents are going to Harlingen tomorrow.
Oh, there's no reason to go anywhere near. But but I always tell people, Brownsville is either southern Texas or northern Mexico, depending how you look at it.
Yeah, because I have like family through Harlingen, Fedia, McCallum, Brownsville, like you name it.
Yeah.
Like I have family just spread around. I mean, it's all
Yeah.
They're all close.
Yeah.
So I have family just spread around the whole thing.
Dude, yeah. I mean, Brownsville's been blowing up now because Elon Musk. You know, he's put Brownsville on the map, which is weird because it's growing up in Brownsville. You're like like the only reason you go there is if you're retiring or if it's like for construction or border patrol and stuff like that. So when Elon went, it was everybody loves the guy. Everybody in Brownsville like admires the dude. So it's awesome.
Yeah, because I had family up there, so that's why we went. And then now my parents go down there. For one, my mom's mom gave her one of her houses, paid off everything, so they go stay there. But that's when they go take their trips to Mexico.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's why the house is there. So they go there, then they go to Mexico.
Yeah, in Brownsville, like where my dad lives, he lives like 10 minutes away from Mexico, so you could literally like just walk across the border in 10 to 15 minutes.
But just give us a little backstory about yourself. Tell us, you're from Brownsville, but just where you started, how you got to doing what you're doing now.
Again, originally from Brownsville. Born and raised, was there 29 years. And, when I turned 29, I just realized like, damn, I'm about to be 30. Like, I'm either going to be live and die in Brownsville and do what everybody else is doing, or I can like pursue. So I had at the time worked for Starbucks for about 7 years, and I just became a coffee lover. Loved coffee, would teach people about coffee through coffee programs. And my cousin, who's also a photographer here in Austin, he would always come to Austin for like EDM festivals and stuff like that. So one day I was working 2 jobs and I had like a 3-day vacation. Like I wasn't scheduled at one job for 3 days and this other job the same 3 days. And I told my cousin, I'm like, man, I've always wanted to go to Austin. So like, you want to come? And he wasn't working at the time. He was like, I have nothing else to do. So we came to Austin and I fell in love with the city. Are you ever been to Mozart's?
What year did you come?
20. So the first time I visited was 2013, the first time, and then we visited again 2014, and that's when I started making plans to move here.
Okay,
gotcha.
So we visited Mozart's because I'm like, I want to check out one of the best coffee shops. I was like on Google checking stuff out. Go to Mozart's and I see a coffee roaster, and I'm like, I want to do that. Like I would love if my life was surrounded by that thing. So then, it was 2014. Ended up kind of just saying like, it's either now or never. So moved here a week after my dad's birthday, and transferred to Starbucks. Within a week, 2 weeks, I applied at Mozart's, and I remember talking to Jack, who's the head roaster, and he was like, "Well, I did an interview with him, and he was like, well, go, apply to other places, do what you got to do, then come back like in a week, and I'll let you know." And I'm like, I don't want to work anywhere else. I'm only applying here. And he was like, all right, you start tomorrow. And so I began as a barista. Then I became like a manager, like a morning manager. And then when like 6-7 months, I became the head roaster.
Gotcha.
That's fire. Are you still in contact with them or anything?
I mean, I go there all the time, but just life has gone so busy.
Do you like their coffee?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. Hot take.
It is I'm not a fan of their coffee. Yeah. I just think the atmosphere makes up for the coffee.
Yeah.
Just what they have to offer. Yeah. Like it's a nice.
What kind of coffee guy are you?
I've been slowly going away from slowly but surely going away from creamer. I like more of a darker roast.
Okay.
That's really good. Yeah.
So Mozart's is probably one of the only few coffee shops that actually does a traditional dark roast.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, because the thing about Austin, we've been so influenced by third wave coffee from California, Seattle, and all these other places. Yeah. But Jack was trained by the original founders of Starbucks before they sold it to Howard Schultz. So he learned how to roast that traditional style, that I forgot from where it's from, but it's a specific style of roasting. And so when he came over to Austin, started roasting for Mozart's and kind of brought that same style. So they're one of the few people who do anything like a Vienna roast, which is super oily and dark, to one of them is El Gato Negro, which is a nice medium dark roast. So it's funny because there isn't a lot of coffee shops that do that.
So since I've gone started drinking darker, I haven't gone back. Because my favorite place to live and die by Summer Moon. I love Summer Moon.
Yes.
I love Summer Moon. I live and die by Summer Moon.
Yeah.
Have you been to California?
No, never.
Summer Moon's good.
So there's like
Yeah,
the place he likes is called Better
I like
Buzz.
Better Buzz better than Summer.
It's
It's like
Better Buzz.
it's
Yeah,
it's
a
San Diego only. Like,
Okay.
So if you're ever
Yeah.
in California, go to Better Buzz. Like,
I mean, I might just be like
for sure,
biased,
because
but-
Summer Moon is good, but it's not like
Yeah.
you act like it's like.
Nah, that's
Yeah.
the best.
No, it's not. It's
And
good, but
it's definitely within, for me, like the top 5 or 10 in Austin. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah.
But the thing that I don't like about Summer Moon is that, like, and that's my thing about a lot of Austin coffee. It's very third wave. So third
Yeah.
wave coffee is more acidic, lighter roast, these bitter notes, and it's
Yeah.
like it's good, especially like if you're doing like an espresso pour over. But the thing that ends up happening is your baristas don't know how to pour a good espresso shot.
Yeah.
So and that was the thing that I like when I was roasting for Mozart's, I would always teach them how to pour the shots the way we were roasting it. Because if, and this is the way I saw it, and this is what got me into coffee roasting was when I was teaching the coffee programs like at Starbucks and doing coffee tastings and all that, like I remember reading these pages of like, African American women, Mexican women just sifting through coffee beans for hours. And I got so convicted because I'm like, man, like me as a barista, I don't treat it as well as they do. So I was like, well, you know what? Like, let me become a roaster and learn more about that and see how I could translate that better because they're putting their blood, sweat, and tears in, because coffee has different grades.
Yeah.
And the higher the grade, it means the more hands have touched it to make sure the beans were the right beans.
To this day, best coffee I had coffee from I don't know what kind it was because it was in German, but German coffee.
Oh, dude, German coffee is so good. Yeah.
One of my friends went to Germany and she brought me back coffee from Germany. To this day, it's still the best. I have Turkish coffee in there that I need to make, but I have to get the whole
Turkish coffee's really good. It's very strong. Bro.
I haven't.
Very.
I need to get the whole thing that you have to do, but I still need to make that.
So
as
you know
well.
what you need to do because so his name is I think Ari. Oh man, I'm gonna butcher his name. Let me double check it real quick because so while I'm checking, I'll tell you. So this guy owns Harlem Road out near Sugarland, Texas, by Houston, and he used to be Wolfgang Puck's like left-hand man. Like he would travel with them, open up all his stores and stuff like that. Ara. His name's Ara. And so he started Harlem Road in Sugarland. I think it's in Sugarland. But he does Turkish coffee and he makes his own. Like, so he has a coffee roaster. He roasts his own that he sells in the stores. But he travels with his own Turkish coffee. So we were out at the Troubadour event. Me and Matt were filming. And I meet Ara. And Matt's like, oh, he's a big coffee lover. He used to roast coffee, da-da-da. And so Ara was like, let me make you some Turkish coffee. Bro.
Yeah.
It was like 100 degrees that day. It was hot, but man, it was the crema was perfect. It was like that was probably the best cup of coffee I've ever had from a stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't had many.
Yeah.
But that one was one
for
of them.
sure.
Yeah, I need to try Turkish coffee, but still to this day, the German coffee is the best coffee. I don't know. There's just something about it.
Was it like more like the chocolatey notes?
That might have been it. I don't know because it is. You can definitely taste like chocolatey in there.
Yep.
But it was the best. It was the best.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I'll sad when I ran out.
And like I said, to me, that's my only gripe with some coffee shops here in Austin is that, I wish more of them would offer traditional medium or a dark roast.
Yeah, that's how I am. Like, I'm not. I'm a black coffee.
Same.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, when he talks about kind of like Carl, should you be putting creamer? And
I've got it. I've started going
Like,
like
you
way,
gotta
like
drink taste the bean.
and less and less
Yeah.
on the creamer.
Yeah. So and I still roast at home. So I have like my a home roaster where if I have time, if I'm not busy, and I'm like, oh man, like we're running low on coffee. I got green beans at home, so I just I roast everything at home. But some of the I usually am always going to Summer Moon to buy some coffee. Mozart's is another one. Houndstooth is one that
Got it once.
depending on the roast, and that's the thing. Like to me, Houndstooth, I would say again probably top 5 because they're under the Frost Tower. So location is awesome downtown, but their baristas do a hell of a job of pouring espresso. And to me, like anytime I go into a new coffee shop, I always order a double shot of espresso and regular drip. And I'm like, if you can make good espresso and make a good simple coffee, you won me over.
Gotcha.
Because if you aren't roasting at home, are you espresso?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
pretty,
Was it Breville?
Breville.
Breville?
Yeah,
Is that what you?
yeah.
I want one, but I.
Bro, my
There's some money,
bro, Facebook Market, dude.
Really?
I bought mine on Facebook Market maybe almost 5 years ago for like $400. It's still with me to this day.
Because I mean, I work at Best Buy, so I get a discount on them.
Oh.
But even then,
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah, if you're buying a new, yeah. But and this is the thing I always tell people when it comes to your espresso machines. You don't need a great espresso machine. You need a good grinder because your grind is what makes your bean.
Yeah.
It is like, especially nowadays, you can get like, a Mr. Coffee espresso machine and it's still going to give you some good pressure for good espresso. But what you need is the grinder to give you the good communication.
It's the blade, right?
Yep.
How fine it chops it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So-
mine isn't the best and it's old, and I've been meaning to get a new one.
Yeah, the one that I have is man, I'll remember the name later, but you can get it at almost any coffee shop.
Yeah.
But I got it at Texas Coffee Traders.
Okay.
Yeah, so but that's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, if you can get a good used, like my Brevo is like it's just espresso. That's all it does, and it just has 1 shot, 2 shot. But every morning, grind beans. My wife, I make her iced soy latte, sometimes a mocha. I throw some chocolate in there, and then for me, I just do either a double shot or I'll do like an Americano, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever thought about like making your own coffee business or?
So
like,
we did
Okay.
during the pandemic, man. So I was telling you, but I used to work for a glass company here in
Gotcha.
Austin.
Okay.
And then during the pandemic, just like everybody else, it's like you're not essential. Get the
Yep.
hell out of here. And so I was not essential for a while, but of course they're just like, just say you got fired, get on unemployment for a while, and then when things cool down, we'll hire you back. So I did that, and I was still like working for them and just doing their social media and like, dude, like my schedule back then was amazing because I was able to. So I would sleep Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday, and then Friday through Sunday I would stay up, and I would like edit, read, meditate, stretch. I would do whatever I wanted for like the rest of the time. And so I was like, that's when I got way better at editing because I was, I don't have my wife and, we would spend our quality time together. She would go to bed. I would stay up and, and get work done, knock out some books, do some stretching, you know what I mean? But then I would spend like the majority of the time editing, learning Premiere Pro, learning some After Effects, learning all this kind of stuff. And so that was like one of my favorite times because it was like I was getting paid to learn these skills, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then pandemic is going on and all the coffee shops are closed. And so I was, I went on Amazon, found a coffee roaster for a few $100, got some green beans, and then I was just doing it for me and my wife. Then some friends were like, hey, like, give me coffee. Like, I need coffee, So I was telling the friends, and my wife learned how to make a website. So she built me out a website and did like people could buy and purchase. So we ran it for like a good 6 months, almost a year,
yeah.
and we had like, dude, so it's called Defibrillator Coffee.
Okay.
And my father-in-law came up with the name, and so we had some random nurses like out of nowhere they had their own nursing training like online stuff. And they found our stuff online, and they're like, "Oh, we want to order like 500 pounds of coffee from you."
God dang,
Bro. Yeah, like I roasted for like
What
a
the
minute.
hell?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was like we started like we got big accounts, like a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there. And then when we ended up going back to work, it wasn't feasible to keep doing both. So we had to, at least for now, stop it. It definitely is still a dream because again, like I love coffee and it's like my joy in life. So I definitely want to do it again. But it's great because I was being able to create my own little blends. And it was like, I can get Ethiopian for this and do a little Sumatra. So do like a 30, 20, 50, add some Colombia, maybe a dark Brazil. So
you get creative with
yeah,
it.
so there was one of my favorite blends, and everybody loved it. We called it the Waking Dead, and it was a light roasted Ethiopian with a medium to dark roast Sumatra, and then like a either Mexican or Brazilian, depending on what I had. And so you had like a really nice chocolatey, nutty like flavor, but then like the Ethiopian was like the nice sweeter berry fruit, but then you had that Sumatra that gave you like this like almost like a burnt mushroom, like marshmallow kind of taste. It was so good.
That sounds super.
Nice.
Yeah, dude.
I need to buy some from you now.
Yeah. That's
I'll let y'all know.
intrigued.
I'll let y'all know when I'm roasting another batch. And I'll throw y'all a pound.
You got me intrigued.
Yeah, bro. And like I said, for me, it was just like now I get to create these flavors, and when you know your coffee beans well, it's like okay, now all I got to do is find the right percentage. So like I said, I would do about 30 to 40% Ethiopian because light roast, it was nice, strong, and bitter. But then that Brazilian, I wanted more of that coffee nuttiness. So I was roasting that medium dark. But then that earthiness of the Sumatra was just like balancing everything out. So just doing taste here and there. My wife was my guinea pig, and so we're always hopped up on caffeine.
Not a bad thing to be hopped up off of.
Yep.
What did you ever even like think about going into like liquor? Because it's kind of the same, not necessarily the same thing, but like just throwing different ideas, and then you can do like different espresso martinis, stuff like that. But did you ever even like try to go into like the liquor side?
So I've always thought about it. So I've always thought about more like brewery because I don't drink beer as much. But when I first moved to Austin, bro, like you cannot get me out of a brewery. I was having like
that's what we're known for.
Yeah, and it's like I would have like 3 different 6-packs, like IPA, stout, porter. Like I was, but the last 2 to 3 years, I've been more into Scotch, whiskeys, bourbons, that kind of stuff.
That's what I like.
Yeah, that's like to
doubt.
me. I don't. So I just started doing this fitness thing, that I'm doing with a friend of mine. So he kind of cut me off of like drinking alcohol. He's like, you could do maybe 2 a week. And I was like, dang, because I was drinking maybe 2-3 glasses of scotch every night. You know what I mean? So I'm there, I'm there editing.
It's nice.
No,
Bro,
it's nice. It's soothing.
Yeah.
It's like a nice sipper. Like good flavor. You're
Exactly.
not like,
and especially like to me, scotch has become like one of my favorite drinks. Like I just love the peatiness of it.
Scotch I can't do yet.
Yeah,
I haven't built that one
it's
up
very,
yet.
very, very, very harsh.
Built that one up yet.
That's how my dad is.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
And so I learned how to drink scotch through cigars. So so
Makes sense.
Yeah, so when I started getting into cigars, I started learning more about pairing, and I was like, oh, okay, you can pair this with that. So then I would force myself to drink a scotch and smoke a cigar. And at first it was rough, so I would add like Topo Chico. And that kind of, soothe little by little. Then I would do no Topo Chico, but maybe some ice. And then from there, it just became nothing. I just like pour it, drink it, pour it, drink it.
The scotch I can't do that with.
But when you get there, dude, oh man. Like I just tell people sometimes like, because bourbon is like nice and like you have like the wood flavor and like some spice. Yeah. But the oak and all that kind of stuff when it comes to like scotch, to me, I love it. It's so good.
Scotch is good.
Yeah.
I can't do scotch all the time. That's another acquired like taste. But every now and then I'm like, I can go for like a one thing of scotch.
My wife and I went to Costco about a month ago, and the Costco here has the liquor section. Yeah. So have you ever heard of Dewar's?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so that's my favorite scotch.
Dewar's?
Yeah, I love that scotch, bro.
Gotcha.
So I go in and they had like a 1.75 milliliter big ass bottle, and it was for $30. And I was like, is this
another big one that I can think of was a Lafroig?
Oh yeah, that's
a
another good one. Yeah, that's another good one. But yeah, I saw it there and like I bought it and I was like, bro, I killed that like in 2 weeks. And it's like, every night I would just 2-3 glasses of scotch and I would just edit. My wife and son are asleep, so I'm just doing my thing. But yeah, now since I'm doing like this fitness journey thing, my homie who's my trainer is like, you can do 2 a week.
Do you like McCallum?
Yeah, my dad has like all the editions. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
So my dad used to work. He still has contact with them, so he still talks to them. But he used to work at a liquor store, and then every time they built a new edition, because you know how they only make a certain amount.
Yep.
He would ask. He would ask. He was like, "Hey, can your dad get this for my dad?" And I was like, "Let me ask." And the head guy would always order it. And for him, so he has a lot of the editions.
Damn, and those are pricey too, dude.
If you have them, there's some money.
Yeah, and he hasn't opened any of them. Like he's saying, I want to save them for like special occasions, like when we get married and stuff like that.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, that's one. My father-in-law. That's one thing we have in common. Like we love to drink. So every time we hang out, it's like beer, wine, whiskey, whatever.
My quote unquote daily cheap ones, Bullet makers.
Oh, dude,
I like Bullet Rye better than bourbon though.
Well, a really good one is the Treaty Oak, the what is it called? The day drinker.
Yeah.
That's such an easy drink.
I haven't had that one.
Really? So
Yeah.
to me, Treaty, you know, is one of my favorite spots. Like they're just really good people. But I think to me, they have some of the best whiskey.
I had one of their whiskeys, but I can't remember which one because I used to work at Topgolf.
Was it the Ghost Hill Bourbon?
I think so, actually.
Because that's like their most popular one.
Yeah, and that was like their first one, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because when
it was like one of the more aged ones.
Yeah. Because I had their bar key from a long time ago. And then when they first came out, they gave us these
tokens.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're like vouchers of something. Like if you come on the tour, you get 2 drinks or whatever.
Yeah.
And I had those, and I was supposed to go with my dad, but we just never had time to go. But I think I had that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one I liked.
That is to me probably one of the best whiskeys that I have on my shelf when I have it. And like I said, I don't do like whiskey as much anymore. But if I do, like, I'm always going for a Ghost Hill Bourbon.
Ghost Hill Bourbon.
Yeah.
Would you ever? So did you? I guess the original question: would you ever do like anything with the liquor and coffee?
Yeah, 100%. And you know, my father-in-law, we've talked about that too, because he wants to get into like distilling himself and like learning the whole process. And so, you know, we're just like, he lives in Houston, so we don't get to see each other a lot. But we talk about it a lot. We're like, oh yeah, because then of course when you come up with coffee cocktails, that's like a no-brainer. You know what I mean? But I was just gonna say, like, for me, when it comes to like even alcohol, the thing that would be difficult for me is like the waiting process, because you have to let it age and you have to let it sit and you have to let these things happen. With coffee, it's like in 3 days you can already begin to know where your coffee's going.
Yeah.
And you don't have to like wait as long. So that's why for me it would be hard to do liquor. Yeah, bro. Scotch is like so damn good. I love it. But I mean, it's also, like I said, it sucks because 2 weeks ago or a month ago. So I ran the Austin Marathon. And
really?
Yeah,
okay. We just had one of my friends ran it, and I know a lot of people that ran it that I knew. So
yeah, so the Austin, the people who put on the Austin Marathon are fans of my page, and so you know they were gonna hire me to do something, and they're like, oh, you know, it was too expensive, but they're like, you could, if you want, we'll let you run for free. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, and they're like, you could either do the 5K, the half marathon, or the full marathon. And I was like, yeah, I'll just do the marathon. I didn't know what the hell a marathon was. Like, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know how long it was going to be.
Gee.
So then, you know, I kind of, you know, I signed up for it, and I was just busy working to where I kind of forgot to train for it. So then my wife reminded me, she's like, hey, you know, you got the marathon coming up like in a little over a month. And I'm like, dang, I haven't even trained for that. So like, I started like just running. I was like, all right, well, let me just start running more. You know what I mean? I was probably doing like 30 minutes. 15 minutes of cardio a day and then just lifting weights. So I had no cardio in my bones. So then I hit up my homie who's a personal trainer, and I'm like, hey man, I'm running the Austin Marathon, and you know, I need to know like what's a good way to train so like I can do it. He's like, when is it? And I'm like, on the 19th or something. I forgot when it was. And he was like, bro, that's like less than a month away. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, if you gave me like 3 months, I would have gotten you like in good running shape. He's like, you give me 3 weeks. He's like, look, follow this like regimen and you probably won't get injured. So for 3 weeks, it was like running out, like, so Mondays I would run like an hour. Tuesdays I would run like 2 hours. Wednesdays I would run, I would do like bike, or I would do like uphill walks, and then like some body training. And then Thursday, 2 hour run, Friday, hour run, Saturday, 3 hour run. So it was like I was getting used to like running. And then so the Austin Marathon comes, and the 2 days before I get like an injury, kind of, you know, like I just feel real bad cramping on my leg. It was hard to walk. And so I asked him, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do the full marathon. I'll probably do the half. He's like, yeah, it'll be smart to do the half. So then marathon night comes. I'm like, you know, I hop on the bike and I'm like, damn, please don't let it hurt. And it was hurting a little bit. So I'm like, all right, you know, half marathon, still good. You know, I've never done anything like this before. So then, you know, I get there and I start running, get halfway through the marathon, and I hit the section where it's like, turn right if you're running the half marathon and you'll finish in the next whatever miles. Go straight for another 13 point whatever miles. And I'm just like, I'm going to do the whole thing.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So, yeah.
Woo!
That's
crazy.
So then I just start going, dude, and I'm just like praying, and I'm like, as long as my leg doesn't hurt, I'll keep going. And so my goal was to finish it in 5 hours. I did it in 5 hours and 20 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Nah, dude. Well, again, I was just kind of like, oh, it sounds like fun. not even thinking about it. So then, I talked after that, my friend who's a personal trainer, we were like just talking about doing like a body transformation. Cause I've always been into weightlifting. I've always liked lifting weights, but I was more of the gym bro, like just rack it up, lift heavy.
Yeah.
That's all that matters,
For sure. Yeah.
But now being a father, it's like, okay, like I need to be in at least, I want to be in better shape. I want my body to last me longer. I want, my wife is 10 years younger than I am. So I'm like, I want to still look good, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
no doubt.
so me and him just talked, and he was like, all right, like, do you want to be like, how do you want to do this? And I'm like, bro, whatever you think I can handle, like, just throw it at me. And so this week is starting week 2 of it, but it's just like, so I'll do about 45 minutes of like body workout and then 45 minutes of incline walking. And that's been like crazy, dude. But it's I just really want to get to the point where, because, I've always been in sports, and I always like, just that kind of aspect of stuff. But it's been years since like I had a 6-pack. It's been years since like I actually liked what I looked at in the mirror. So I was just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm about to be 37. So it's like, let's just see what I can do, and especially finishing the marathon, it gave me like just that encouragement, you know what I mean? Because, I'm always like, I'm always like thinking like, oh man, you're old, you can't do that. Or, just kind of doubts here and there. And so, yeah, man, after finishing that marathon, it was like, damn, I didn't know I still had that kind of like motivation in me. And so now we're doing this whole thing, and, I can't drink alcohol, which is the sucky part about it. But it's also cool just being able to like have that mindset again of like going in with this like mentality in the gym and just like walking out feeling like, all right, I put in work. Now time to like, handle everything else.
Yeah, Are you pretty self-disciplined?
Oh, yeah.
There's a thing that he's gonna.
Yeah, whenever I get some time, like which is never a good time to do it, but I want to do 75 hard. Which if you're a challenge,
no.
So basically, the challenge is 75 days straight working out, 45-minute indoor workout, 45-minute outdoor workout.
Oh, nice.
Read 10 pages of any book a day. Drink a gallon of water, and then stick to a diet.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like these crazy diets. It can just be like not eating fast food at all. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I do want to do that at some point, but I can kind of relate to that about like the fitness and stuff. Because lately, I mean, we went out for our homie CJ's birthday on Sunday. I woke up at like 7, got like 3 or 4 hours of sleep the night before. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep, but took pre-workout, went to the gym, worked out with some friends I have, and burned like 700 calories. And I had like a ton of energy because we went to rainy day drink. I had like a ton of energy. Like I wasn't tired. I felt good.
Yeah.
And I've been doing like more flexibility stuff because I played football in college.
Oh, nice.
So I definitely understand that. Like just trying to move around more and like just take care of yourself because it sucks at first, but once you get used to it, you just feel so rejuvenated. You don't feel sluggish throughout the day, and you just feel like you can accomplish more. And do more.
And I mean, it's also like, I spend the majority of the time sitting down because I'm editing, and when I do move a lot, it's either, when I have video shoots going on, but the majority of the work is in the editing. So I sit down a lot. And that's one thing that, because again, when I was a coffee roaster, I'm having to carry around 160 pound of beans 30, 50 times because that's how many bags that I got to put up. You know what I mean? So when I had more of an active lifestyle, it was easier to just be fit and strong. But now that I'm more like a sedentary, sitting down, editing, and that's like 7-8 hours of my day, it's harder to move. You know what I mean? So that was one aspect where I was like, okay, I knew how to work out when I was that person. But this person, the videographer, I don't know this physical lifestyle because I'm just going off of what I knew in the past. I'm going off of what I was used to. So, when I talked to my friend about it, he's like, all right, how many times are you like, do you get up from your desk? Like, what do you do? Like how like other than working out in the morning, what are your other activities? And again, just like breaking all that down and then even breaking down my diet to being like, okay, like, you need this much protein on these days. You need more fat on these days. You need more carbs on these days. So, like, all of that has just been interesting. Yeah. I'm like, because again, when you're just lifting heavy weight, all you got to do is eat food. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of food you're eating. You just got to put something in. Yeah, you just need the calorie intake. But, you know, we're talking, and, you know, this guy's a physique champion, has won countless of awards and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, look, man, I just want to push myself to do something that I know I'm capable of, but I just don't know how to get there. And so he was like, all right, like, let's do it. And so we just been, you know, so I know him because I used to work for this fitness company here in Austin doing videography, and they ended up moving to Chicago, and, you know, the trainers are still here in Austin. So I do like video and photo work for them. And so, you know, we've always kind of been cool together. And, you know, so when I told him about it, he was like, all right, let's do it. You know what I mean? And so I recorded, I think in one night we shot over 250 workouts.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, it was like from 12 o'clock at night to like 3 in the morning, like we were filming. And so it was just like, you know, how to do proper bicep curls, like, and just like 15 to 20-second videos that are on YouTube that you can access through his app. And so he's a personal trainer. You sign up for his program. And so whenever there's a workout, you go to the video that is on there, and it's him teaching you how to work out, and it breaks down your reps, your rest time, all that kind of stuff. And then alongside with that, it's another app that helps you with your diet, tracking your food. And I, you know, it's funny. I was saying to my wife this the other day. I'm like, I always talk shit about people who did this. You know what I mean? I was always kind of like, oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't fit your macros. Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
And you know, we go out to eat, and I'm just, and I slide my phone to my wife. I'm like, check if I can have that. Like, I don't want to see people that I don't want people to see I'm that guy. But, you know, take a quick look. Can I eat that?
Yeah. No.
That's good.
I guess, like, since you said you were shooting for this guy that's helping you with this fitness journey and all that stuff, what was kind of like your first thought from, I guess, transitioning from doing all the coffee stuff, being in like kind of like the food industry and things like that, and being like, man, I want to pick up a camera and start shooting. Were you doing that then, or was that after that?
So that happened at Mozart.
Okay.
So like, you know, I just liked taking pictures on my own Instagram of the coffee that I was doing and just the journey I was on. And they would always see it, and they're like, hey, we don't have anybody running our social media. Like, we'll pay you extra to do it. And I was like, bet, you know? So then, you know, at that time I was getting paid as a barista, as a roaster, and now for social media. So I was making pretty good money and getting tips. And we were walking out like with $90, $100 tips a day. So I was making really good money. So then I invested that in a Sony A5100. Bought that, and that's what kind of started my video journey, because I'm like, oh, you know, you're paying me extra. If I give you better content, you'll probably pay me more money.
No doubt.
So then I did that for them for a while, and then when I left that company, I went to roast for Austin Java, and I roasted for them for about a year, and pretty much same thing happened. It was like, we need help with social media, so did video work for them as well. Then I went to Texas Coffee Traders. And then when I was there, that's when this glass company, they saw a lot of my Instagram stories, and they're like, we want somebody to document the growth of our company the way you're doing your Instagram, so we'll hire you part-time to do that. So then I was doing coffee roasting and videography as a side gig. And then when I started getting the more followers, and they were seeing like, yo, we're closing deals because of Instagram. Like, you're taking our photos or posting our videos, and people are now saying, I want to shower, I want this, I want that. So they ended up pretty much paying me like a salary to just be their full-time content creator. So then I did that for about 2 years, and that's kind of how I became a videographer.
So when you first picked up, did you do research on like nothing? You just...
So I was lucky. You know, my cousin, like I said, he's a professional photographer here in Austin, and a close friend of mine was a portrait photographer. So the only thing they told me was, don't touch anything else on your camera. Just leave it on manual and figure it out. And so that's what started that.
They were shooting already before you even picked up a camera?
Okay, yeah, way before.
They say like for Sony, go video, for pictures,
so
go Canon?
My homie was a Canon, my cousin was a Nikon shooter, and I picked up a Sony camera because I'm like, well, you know, it's for video and for photos, and I want to do more video because I'm like, they're the photographers. I don't want to be a photographer. I want to be a videographer.
Yeah.
So Sony was the at the time, and still to this day is the best camera for videographers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, hands down.
Yeah.
So then started with the A5100, and then did like little videos here and there, and then went from that to the 6500, and then from that to the Sony A7 III, and then I had the Sony A7S II for a while, and those are like the ones that I've shot on.
what do you count like Blackmagics and Reds? Are those for video? Like, do you still think Sony's better than like Blackmagic and Reds, or are those like two completely different categories?
Well, and it's also the one thing I tell people is use the gear that one you could afford, but also that is going to help you produce the content you want to produce. Like if you want to produce Blackmagic style, like amazing colors and like all this insanity, and then you also need the editor program to handle all that as well. You also need the computer that can handle all of that processing. So it isn't just I got a black camera, my stuff's going to look awesome. It's you need everything else to come with that. So for me, it's like whatever you want to produce, your phone can do it, right? Your cameras can do it. So it's learning what you can take on at that time. Okay. So, and that's the way I treated it. For me, it was like Sony was pretty easy to learn. It was just, a few buttons here, record, nothing too crazy. At that time with the Sony a6500, they had the S and Q. That's kind of when they started it. So you could shoot slow motion straight from your camera. So I was like, okay, just watching YouTube tutorials and learning here and there. and so for me, I wouldn't ever use a Blackmagic camera or anything like that because I'm like, if somebody's going to hire me to do what I do what I do on my Sony A7C, my Sony A7R2. Yeah. So why am I going to, especially if some people are like, well, should I go rent it? Why am I going to go rent a camera that I have to learn on my shoot how to use when I already know my cameras? I know my Sonys. I know what I could do with them. If I need something better, I could just go rent a lens for precision, and just upping your lens quality is going to give you a way better,
So rent a G Master real quick.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's like, you have to play within your realm. And if you can't afford all this other stuff, well, then use whatever you got. You know what I mean? Like iPhones, bro, you know what I mean?
They're crazy now, man.
Yeah, and I'm like, people laugh when I say it, but it's like my iPhone has been my second camera for years, and my clients sometimes don't even know. Yeah. Like I could have my one camera set up, another camera set up, and I'm like, oh, I need another shot. 4K 60 iPhone, got that third shot. Edited together, you don't even know what happened.
I mean, a lot of that. I mean, yes, the iPhone is good and does its job and what it needed to do, but the reason they can't tell is because everything is done in post production. Like exactly. If you can make it flow and just make it look the same,
storyline, and not even that. It's also one of the reasons people want to get cameras is because of 4K quality, right? That's usually everybody's like, we want that 4K.
You can definitely tell.
You can tell. Yeah, I don't know. But how often do you guys turn on 4K on your YouTube?
So
all the time.
So this is the conversation I've been having with him because he's been wanting to shoot in 4K.
Not podcasts though.
Or just content in general.
Yeah.
In my point of view, in my eyes, I have the hardware to like take 4K. That's not the problem. But you have to realize how much data is going through, like just the SD card, like how much storage that is on the SD card. Then downloading that storage onto whatever you're doing it on, uploading that storage into Final Cut or Premiere Pro, putting that in the timeline, that getting rendered, making the whole video, exporting it, uploading it to YouTube. That like just that time alone is ridiculous. And then on top of that, most people that are watching it are probably watching it on their phone. So it's getting compressed anyways. So if you upload in 1080 60, it's going to look damn near close to 4K because you're watching on a phone and it's compressed. So it looks the same.
Well, and I forgot what the number was, but there's a small percentage of people who, like I do that, like when I watch YouTube videos and like it's something good, I'm putting that on 4K.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, especially if it's like, someone like Peter McKinnon or one of these like videographers you actually
or like carb doing it in the cars too.
So my other thing, the other thing that I also bring up is like, all right, you're shooting in 4K. Half the people watching it aren't watching it on a 4K screen anyways.
Exactly.
Unless it's on a TV. I think the iPhone is 4K screen wise. But even then, like if I'm watching YouTube, I'm watching it on my TV, on my phone, which my phone isn't 4K screen because I have an iPhone 11 and my monitors. My monitor is only 1080 60. Or I will only do 1080. So it's like I'm clicking to go to 4K, but like I'm still not really seeing it. Like you can tell the difference, yes, but like you're still really not seeing a 4K.
The only time I shoot in 4K more with my drone than I do with my camera. And for me, it's mainly because I shoot 4K D-Log, and I know that, especially when it comes to drones, like you really need the quality to pop.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and that's where like For drones, I shoot 5.4 or 4K all the time, but then I compress it to 1080p because you still get a gorgeous image.
Picture.
And at the same time, how you said like upload doesn't take as long. If I'm transferring data files, dude, that's the biggest pain in the ass. If I'm like, all right,
send it to a client,
or even to an editor, there's times where it's like, okay, I got so much amount to edit, I need somebody else, and I have to send it out to editor, and it's just like, oh, it'll be there in 97 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Drones are a little bit easier because the clip time is so much shorter. It's about a minute for each thing, 30 seconds. Like it's a lot shorter rather than like an actual video. It's constantly go. And it's like, cool, it could be a 5-minute video, but that 5-minute video, like all that stuff that I just named is still going to take you a long time.
And that's not even adding your color grade, your
that's not taking
animation.
That's what I said, like just that stuff.
Yeah,
that's going to take you just a long ass time. So you don't like to, not that you don't like to shoot in 4K, but like a lot of stuff you don't upload in 4K. No. I don't see a reason for it. That's just me.
Well, I think it just depends because if you look at every single food, because I'm on YouTube like a lot, so every single like car video 4K.
Yeah,
and to be honest, it needs to be in 4K because you need to see it. It needs to be like a visual. You're like there representation. Food, I think food
definitely
needs to be in 4K as well. And then like
especially those tight shots.
Exactly. Yeah. So like food, car stuff, travel stuff, even like snowboarding, like stuff like that. I think 4K is fine, but vlogs, no. Stuff like this, no. I think it varies. And then obviously, like if you're using a drone, like I'm pretty sure a lot of companies ask you to like fly drones and stuff.
Yeah.
So if a company were to ask us to do something, then I'd shoot that in like if we have the ability, because it's like you want to give them the best product, and you also don't want to be like. Companies are just like, oh, this other guy that did it for me did it in 4K. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like you just gotta kind of pick.
Yeah,
and choose.
For a client, it's always 4K. I never not shooting 4K for a client. Yeah.
I'm a little bit because I still feel like you can. I'm sure you can shoot 1080, make the video, and you can shoot 4K, make the video, and make them look damn near pretty close.
Well, and that's another thing I do for my clients. I send them a 4K and a 1080p file just so that they could also see the difference of like again, it really does depend what it is. Like food, when I do food and beverage, like bro, I need those like tight sizzling shots or the liquor being poured. Like you need that color, you need that pop. But when like even real estate sometimes, like if I do a real estate video and I show it to you in 1080p and 4K, you're not know the difference at all. But
you can probably show them 1080, so like, it's 4K. They're not gonna know.
Yeah. And at the same time, they really don't care.
No, they're just want
like
the video and they want it out.
Yeah, they're just like, we need to have this out. We need to sell this home. So there's been so many times where even on my iPhone, I've had to do stuff like that, like get certain shots or if I, which has happened before, amateur moves, but we still get them. Where I forgot SD cards, and I'm just like, I'm on this video shoot, have nothing, so I'm pretending like I'm filming on my camera, but I'm really filming on my phone, and it hasn't.
You have your rig where it's set up like that.
Yeah. And so it's like, it hasn't happened in the last 3 years, but definitely like in the past when it was like my first year or two shooting, like I had to rely on my iPhone a lot.
Is it the DJI rig? Because I saw that for the first time not so long ago.
It's just like regular, some parts that you just kind of put together, go on Amazon and find it.
Yeah, because one of the guys that I shot at a Gucci concert, one of the guys had a DJI rig, and it was the gimbal, so it had the camera. Yeah. And then on top of it, it had his phone filming at the same time. Yep.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's the first time I've seen that.
They made that.
Yeah. I mean, they make rigs for drones that you could use it as a camera.
Really?
Yeah, like there's like an attachment where you could put your drone on a stabilizer and then you can use that as your.
Wow,
that's cool. I did not know that.
Yeah. I tried to do a video once, like trying to shoot a car with my drone, and I had the footage, and I just never had time to edit it. So. For food and cars, I did agree with them. Like, that does need to be in 4K because, like, even one of the videos I saw Peter McKinnon do, he did I don't think he shot it, but I think he edited it. I think somebody else shot it, but it was like the intro. It wasn't an intro, but he did like a little coffee little thing. Before. Oh yeah, with Daniel Schiffer.
Daniel
Schiffer.
The B-roll.
That
crazy.
That video, bro.
That video, I watch that video
all the time.
Well, and that's a video that like only Daniel Schiffer could edit, like and shoot that way. Because like I remember watching the intro and I'm like, Peter didn't shoot that. Like
It was
you could just tell
fire.
by the style that it wasn't his.
It was
yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
But so when we first got our cameras, I mean, just like everybody else who like wants to do it and take it serious, we're obsessed with it. We're just going outside, taking different pictures,
Yep,
random
yep.
ass shit, taking
Yep.
videos of whatever. Were you the same way?
Yeah, dude, of
Yeah.
course, man. And like it started with my phone, you know, and it might like once, you know, I don't know how old you guys are, but it's like back in the day, you didn't just have a camera in your
No.
pocket, like, you know,
No,
you had
for real.
the cheap ones, but like especially when the iPhone 10, 11, like, you know, you had decent cameras on these things, it was just like, man, I could take a picture of everything, you know what I mean? And I've always had that artistic eye. I've always kind of been that person. And that's why I wanted to get into coffee. And, you know, I learned how to do latte art and all that kind of stuff because it's like, I like to do it, but how can I get artsy with it? You know, so with an iPhone, it's like, well, I can do anything with it. So then when I got my camera, it was just like learning, like, what is shallow depth of field? Like, when do you need to have like really nice bokeh? But when you also need everything in frame, like when do you need to have a drone shot, right? Like you don't always need a drone shot, but it does add some character to a video. When do you need GoPro stuff? You know what I mean? Like my father and I, we just did the Bronco Off-Road Rodeo, and I just have my GoPro all the time filming because it's like, you know, the stabilization on that thing is
They're
insane.
insane now.
Yeah, they're
Bro.
crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
So I'm just there having my hand out the window, and then I look at the footage, and it's just like,
It's insane. Even like from because I have the 8.
Oh,
from
yeah.
the 7 to the 8 was insane, but from the 8 to the 10 was insane, and the 10 to the 11 now that they
Bro.
have, or it's not even called the 11, it's called something else.
yeah, I have the 10
I
Hero
was like,
Black,
what the
and
hell?
I'm like, I'll keep this GoPro because especially in the beginning, GoPro sucked, dude. And I remember like they would just stop recording, or they would overheat, or something would, or you know, something would happen. And so when I gave up on GoPros and I started using the Insta360s, and I was shooting on that for probably a year and a half. And then the GoPro Hero 10 Black came out, and I saw Peter McKinnon, Matty Hapoya, and Jesse Driftwood do videos on them. And I'm just like, man, that stabilization is out of this world.
The 8's insane.
So I bought it, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give you another chance, GoPro. And then ever since I bought that one, I was like, you've redeemed yourself.
You can't. You literally cannot tell. Like the 8 is because they rank it. I think the 10's like the level 3 or whatever. The 8's a level 2. But even then, like you can't. They're so good.
Well,
now.
even then, it's like if you're a level 2, just go on Premiere Pro, throw on some stabilization, and you're not going to tell the difference.
But like you really don't have to.
Yeah,
They're actually really good now. It's
Wow.
insane.
Damn.
Yeah.
Like I was, you know, and like for me, when I was shooting on the 360 camera, that was like, you talk about wanting to be creative, you can do anything with that thing, man. And so they even make now a 360 camera you could attach to the Mavic Air 2S. And so it's just like 2 360 cameras that wrap around your drone, and it eliminates the drone. So when you're flying, you don't see anything, and you could pinpoint your footage wherever you want. You could focus it. You can.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I want to get that just because I feel like it'd be fun for real estate to like just fly in homes and just kind of do really fun like pan overs of like just stuff. But yeah, man, I feel like it's insane living in the world we live in right now. Like looking at all the technology we have and everything that we could do, whether it's like Chat GPT or
That
bro.
I don't know what that is.
What?
I hear
Bro,
everybody talking about it. But like,
we need to get it. It's
I don't
crazy.
know. Like
It's
I hear-
free.
Really?
One of
it's
the
free.
guys.
You just need a Google account.
One of like I guess the influencers I follow. His name's Hex. He's always talking about it.
Yeah, it's
I don't
nuts.
even know. I haven't even like learned
So
what
basically, like if you were like, hey, I want to apply for X amount of job, you just type in like 3 to 5 keywords, and obviously the more you give it, the better your resume would be. But it will type you out a full on resume with like references, all that stuff in like less than a minute. Or if you want to type out a movie script, same thing. It's insane,
Bro,
it's crazy. Like it's
Who
crazy.
made it?
So it's like a bunch of people. So it was like just this open source thing that I think there was like ex-Google employees and some other people that made it. So it isn't just one person. And they just created it because they felt like making AI all
That's
this
scary.
kind of stuff. It's
very
it's
scary.
terrifying,
Because
bro.
like
Scary.
and then obviously like they've been doing the thing like I don't know if you're on TikTok or not, but like they've been doing like the AI voice thing. Like I was watching.
Oh, that's creepy too.
Yeah, I was like watching one of the Nelk podcasts and they were talking about Kyle and Drake, and it was like a whole conversation of them talking to each other, but they've never talked.
Yep.
But it sounds like them. It's crazy.
well, then you could do deep fakes, take people's faces.
I just learned what that was
Yeah.
too, because
Yeah.
that's been a thing
Bro,
going on as
yeah,
well.
bro.
Yeah.
Like Joe
It's
Rogan,
crazy.
like on TikTok, like somebody use his voice to sell like $7,000 worth of products.
No.
Yeah, because people thought it was like he was endorsing this product and it's Joe Rogan, so people went to go buy. It's
I'm not
crazy.
on social media like
yeah,
that. So
it's
I don't,
crazy.
I'm not tapped into any of this stuff going on,
Bro.
That's crazy.
Yeah, to me, we use ChatGPT all the time for our business because I mean, you could do that, but you could also even we use that. There's another one, I can't remember the name of the website, but it could help you create like pitch decks. So when we're going to pitch something to a company, we usually like create a pitch deck and show a lot like, this is who we are, right? This is your company, and we kind of describe their company to them the way we view it. Then we do like, our ideas and all the kind of stuff we want to do, prices and all that. But there's a website now that you could just do the same thing. So we'll use ChatGPT to type out what our pitch deck is going to be, and then we plug that into this other AI website. In 1 minute, you have something you can present to a client.
Wow. Yeah, that's good to know because
Bro,
we're trying to focus on the like pitch decks and all that stuff.
Well, and on these pitch decks, you can even type in what you want the art to be, and it uses AI generated art. So we typed in like the city of Austin, and it did the skyline. It wasn't great. It looked like a painting, but when you're looking at a pitch deck, it looks pretty good. You know what I mean?
So, curious, how'd you get the name Ariel Austin? I just assumed it because you were just the nicest with the drones in the city or something.
Well, that is literally why. But I had to become that, right? Like, so during the pandemic, when everything went on, started working for that glass company again. 2021, we end up going. That glass company partners up with another company out in Arizona. So then I'm traveling from Austin to Arizona to Denver because we had another company out in Denver. So I was running these social media companies for these three glass companies, creating the content for them. So then we get into a little spat for the other guy that I went out to Arizona to work with. Something happened. We had some words, and I ended up getting fired, right? This dude and said, screw you, screw your wife, because we're both working for the same company, fired us. So 2021, everything was shut down again. Nothing was really going on. I think this third wave or second wave of COVID, whatever was going on. So, and then got let go from them, worked with a fitness company for a while. And then I think we had like a 3 or 4 month contract that ended, and I was bored. Like, again, I'm somebody, I always need to do something. So I had nothing to do. This was like mid 2021. So I told my wife, at that time I had a Mavic Air, one of the first Airs, real small, real bad quality, but it was still good for the time. So I ended up buying a new drone, and I'm like, I really want to invest in creating this brand. Like, I have this drone, I have all this time. Let me just start doing this, right? So so the way it happened was I went on my Instagram. I saw what people were liking the most, which is drone shots of Austin. So it was like, okay, let me do more of that and see what happens. So I was like thinking of a name, Ariel Austin, Aerial Shots Austin. That's how the name came to be. Mm-hmm. And then it started with just, I would go out to shoot downtown 3 to 5 days a week. So I would wake up at 4 a.m, go to the gym, get out, and then go downtown before sunrise every day for 3 to 5 times a week. And just getting a bunch of drone shots of Austin. And little by little, it went from just posting a few photos to like posting 3 times a day. So I would post morning, noon, and night. Mm-hmm. And then little by little, people just started following me. My account started growing. Yeah. And then by, the last year gained a crap load of followers. And then, this year had like another like a little over 10K that just hit. And so it just, I just ended up being known as the drone guy in Austin. And it was also a lot of communicating on messaging because, of course, Instagram wants you to make people stay on the platform. Mm-hmm. So if you're getting people to come on the platform over and over again, they're going to reward your page. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just posting. I was like, and that's kind of why I started the YouTube, was because so many people were asking me questions like, what do you shoot? What do you fly? How do you edit? What do you this? What do you that? And it was like, I could only message the same message to so many people. Yeah, so then I was like, well, let me make a YouTube account that teaches people how to do this. So then I just started doing that. And then that's kind of what grew my account as well. A lot of people from YouTube were like, oh, like following me on Instagram. And then that whole thing started happening. And so, and then early on, I think I started the account when I had around 900 followers. I went from being my personal to just focusing on drones. And then within a little under a year, went from 900 to 10K. And then within another 6 months, hit like another 10, 11K. And it was just like a lot of videos being shared, but it was also just keeping these communications going on with the audience. And that's why I always tell people, like, if you're on social media and you want to grow your account, make sure that you're like commenting back to people. Make sure that you're, if you have a niche, go to other niches that are in the same niche you're at and start commenting on theirs, like your opinion, right? If it's cars, go to other car pages, and because then when they look at who's this guy? They go to your account. Oh, well, you actually are posting a lot of cars. You like cars. You talk cars. Then that's how your account continues to grow. So I was just like, but at the same time, like I said, I was posting 3 times a day, dude. I was editing like crazy because I had nothing to do. Yeah. I was bored out of my mind. And, we had money like saved up. So I'm like, well, shit, let me just start creating this brand. And then, I started working with like the Fairmont and Treaty Oak and just different brands here in Austin. Then my name just started getting shared around by people. Like, this is a guy you want to do your drone stuff. I also do the drone classes for Precision Camera.
Oh, wow.
So they saw my YouTube video and they're just like, hey, we offer drone classes. We have nobody to teach them. This guy was like, I've been watching the last couple hours of a bunch of videos you posted. It sounds like you exactly know what you're talking about. Would you want to teach our drone classes? And I was like, hell yeah, you know what I mean? So then now I just started doing that.
That's fire.
That's super dope.
Yeah,
that's super fire.
Yeah.
So now that you built a name for yourself, and people know who you are and all that, earlier you made a comment about the Austin Marathon.
Yeah.
And they said it was too expensive.
Yeah.
Now that you've made a name and all this and that, you know your worth. How do you go about like pricing your stuff? Because you're not gonna. I could tell that you're not gonna just be like, oh, it's say $1,000 for this. It's gonna be like, no, it's gonna be like 5,000 for this 30-second video, whatever the numbers are. But how do you go about pricing your videos? And then how do you feel about people saying it's too expensive?
Well, the way I go about pricing the videos is...
Well, just your stuff in general, not necessarily videos.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of primarily what people come to me for is videography. I'll do photography, but, it's kind of like, if we're going to have a little vacation or if we need the money for whatever, it's like, okay, I'll take up a photo gig. But I love video. I love doing videography. But the way, people ask me that, I was how much for this? Or, what's your hourly rate? Or what's this? Or what's that? And I always respond is I don't have... that's not the way I work. I work with either your budget or with your project. What do you want, right? Like, I'm not going to charge you $500 if you want me to fly, like if you're a real estate agent and you live in the independent, that's not like drone laws come into play. Drone licensing comes into play. I have to communicate with airspace to let them know what I'm doing, right? Like, it isn't just like, oh yeah, $500, I'm not happy, because there's also time and editing, so much that just comes into play. And people always say, oh, it's a quick 30 minutes. It's gonna, hey, I just need you to come quick, 15 minutes, you're in and out. And I'm like, obviously you've never worked with a videographer before, because nothing's quick. You know what I mean?
Nothing.
So yeah, the way I would respond is, it depends on your budget or on what the project is going to be, and that's the way I price it. So then when people come to me with a number, it isn't just, okay, your budget's $500. All right, cool. I'll take it. No, then that's where the pitch deck comes. If it's like a bigger brand or if it's somebody who's like me and my wife are gonna, we want photos with our baby. Yeah, right. $250, $500. I don't care. But if it's like a company who's hiring me, that's where it's like, okay, your budget's $500. I'm gonna create a pitch deck, and maybe the first price would be the $500, and I'll do you'll get a 30-second video, 2 Instagram reels, and a handful of photos. But then the second one's gonna look a lot better than that $500 one. It's probably gonna be $750, right? So even though someone gives me a budget, we all know when we have a budget, we can give a little extra. We just don't want to give that extra. Yeah. So it's creating the package that makes them say, man, but if we had a 3-minute video. Oh yeah, and it is gonna be this and that. Yeah, and man, but on this one he's giving us 2 reels. On this one's 5 reels, and we're only paying $250 more. And you know what I mean? You just entice it a little bit more. So even though their budget was $500, you could probably get them for $750. And again, if you want to get sweet with it, add a third option for like $1,000 or something, and make that like a full production, right? It's like gonna do behind the scenes. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. So for me, but when somebody does come and say, "Oh, well, you're too expensive," it's always like, I understand that I'm not for everybody, right? I understand that what you want, I can offer to you, but maybe you can't afford it, and that's okay. But at the same time, I'm depending on the person, depending on the brand or company, I'm willing to work with people, right? Mm-hmm. Like, because at the end of the day, I'm somebody who always I want to help somebody achieve their goals. So if you're a new company, like we worked the last couple months with private chefs who want to start their own brand in their own company, so they can't afford maybe a $5,000, $2,000 video, but at the same time, maybe I don't need that $5,000.
Yeah.
How much can you afford? Oh man, I got like $1,200 and this is what I'm looking for. All right, cool. $1,200, let's do it. You know what I mean? Because I know that if I get you to the point that you could afford $5,000, I'm going to be the first person you come to, right? Because you see the value in what I created. So even though someone may not afford me at the time, one, if it's a good person, good brand, good company, somebody who I feel like I want to take a chance on, I'll work for a lower price because then I could just make that up on the next client. You know what I mean? Like if I need to make 10 grand this month, why if I'm going to break 500 from you, then I'll just get 2 other gigs that can compensate for that other money that's missing. Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't understand. It's like when it's all said and done, if you break it down an hourly rate, you really don't make that much an hour. You don't.
Yeah.
Because like you drive there, whatever time that is. Drive back. You're shooting there, and then you're swifting through all the footage and just looking at footage, just looking at it, not even doing anything. Then you import it, then do everything, put it together, see what you like. Then you add all your stuff on top of it, your color grading, and then all the transitions and effects and all that. Like when you break all that down, when it's done, the 30-second video, depending on how complex it is, that can take you.
Well, and it's also like, now that I got a kid, my time is way more valuable. Yeah, right? Like I don't want to be away from him. I want to spend time with him. I want to be more. That's why I like the freelance lifestyle, because I could be home as long as I want. You know what I mean? I just got to make sure that I make enough money to get me for the month or so. But and so when I do price myself, it's like, one, I got another mouth to feed. So it ain't just me and my wife anymore. It's him. It's diapers. It's gas. Formula. It's all this other stuff, and he's been breastfeeding, so he never touched that stuff, man. Yeah. But I mean, a lot of things do come into play, right? And same thing for my wife. I want her to be able to stay at home. I want her to devote time to him. I'm not going to trust some stranger with my son. I'm just not. I'm not that kind of person. Yeah. So if I can make enough for my wife to stay at home, and she helps with the business, she's like more the brains. I always tell people, I'm the beauty, she's the brains. But like we just kind of work that way. We've always worked together, so we're really used to it. Yeah. But like, she handles a lot of that stuff, and so for me, it's like, okay, what can I do to make more money? Well, the easiest way to make more money is charge more, right? Like that's very, very simple, And at the end of the day, it like what you were saying earlier is the reason I don't want to price hourly is, why should I get penalized for learning my craft, right? If I can make you a video in 1 hour, why you still got the product? You got you're like, why should I be penalized because I'm good at what I do? So I should just sit on this footage for a week and tell you that I worked 40 hours on it? Like I've worked like that with other businesses who I used to roast for, and it's like, okay, I roasted all the coffee, I did all of this, I did all of that. Like but no, you need to be here. When I was a salary, it's like, no, you need to be here 40 hours. Why? Everything is done. You just want me to be here because that's gonna make you happy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like
a common thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's all it is. And at the end of the day, for me, it's like, if I'm good at what I do, one, that's why I charge what I charge. But at the same time, you're going to get the quality you're looking for. Like, that's why you hired me, is because you wanted quality. You want this, you want that. So I just don't feel like as a creative, you should be penalized for being good at your craft.
And for one, it's hard to even price. Like I don't think there should even be an hourly price, because everything's just every shoot's different. Everything's different.
Yeah, dude. It's not cookie cutter. Well, and at the same time, as a freelancer, you can charge whatever the hell you want to charge. You know what I mean? Like if I want to charge somebody $2,000 for a video shoot, I can do that. Yeah. If I want to charge $10,000 for 5 video shoots, if I want to charge somebody $20 for a video shoot, if I want to charge, which I've done before, shout out to Tommy Want Wingy, my favorite fucking wing spot in Austin. They're like, bro, we love your stuff. You give us an Instagram reel, we'll give you some food. Bet.
Yeah.
You're telling me you're going to give me some free wings? Hell yeah. Why would I say no to free wings? And all I got to do is just shoot you an Instagram reel. I probably would have been out there anyways. Cool, bet. Let's do it. I'm like, and that's what I mean. It's depending on who the person is, depending on who the brand is. For me, I just see it as, is it a win to be associated with you? Because even if I'm like, I did some video interviews with the Austin Spurs and with the San Antonio Spurs. We partnered up with some other stuff, right? So it's like, even though I'm not getting paid by you, if there's a way that I could be associated with your brand, and now with Instagram, you could do collaborations. So as long as we can collaborate and people see, oh, Ariel Austin is, oh, they did. Oh, well, now more of my stuff is going to get spread, and people are going to be like, oh, man, this guy, everybody works with this guy. We need to work with him too. So even though the money may not be there, the recognition may be there, and I'd go with that as well.
And then going back to what you said about the pitch cards, it's like, if you can pitch it, because that's one of the guys that we, have you heard of Pouch Chick Studio?
No,
it's a little studio place here in Austin, but they're like a media company that does videography as well.
Okay, nice.
But what was on the hedges? What was it?
Oh yeah, just like he was basically saying like, if I shoot this video for this hedge company, they're gonna make X amount of dollars. So I need to charge X amount of dollars. Like if a company makes, I don't know, 300,000 plus from this shoot, I can charge 10%.
Yeah.
From that video, I can charge 10%.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And people don't think about that.
Yeah.
Like it's always good when we meet other people that are kind of in the same space because someone's like, oh, like follow me around with a camera and vlog me doing stuff. And then you're like, okay, well, if I'm gonna follow you around for all day and make a vlog, like that's like $1,000.
It should be.
And they're like, what? $1,000? And it's like, yeah, bro, like I'm following you around with a camera all day. Then I gotta edit that.
You think I want to be around
Yeah,
you?
you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
you think I like you? Like you think I'm just trying to kick with you for 8 hours?
And it's like, and people don't understand like, do you know? I'm pretty sure you've heard of Full-Time Filmmaker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's like there's stuff like that out that you know how long it took you to learn to get to where you're at, and vice versa. So it's like you got to count that your equipment. Like you said, you have a son now, and then all that time. So it all has to make sense.
Gas,
for you.
inflation,
Gas and food, inflation.
Right? Like, oh, why should I not be charging 25% extra when chicken, eggs, bread? So you're telling me they can charge extra, but I can't?
Exactly.
And I'm making you money. Like that's the thing that I don't understand about with a lot of these clients. Like, oh, well, you're too expensive. But I see you on Instagram buying bottles, drinking whiskey, going to a club, watching the FC games. I see you doing all of that. Are you getting anything in return for that? Is that any of that making you money? No. But I'm charging you $2,500 for a video that can 10x what you made that month.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'd rather spend that $2,500 on trying to show off on social media.
Yeah.
Literally.
Come on,
that's like
dude.
part of the pitch deck. It's like, all right, this is what your videos are doing.
Yep.
This is what my videos can do for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that's how you just charge
and
off of that
it's
as well.
all on value. Like, is this valuable to you? Do you see the value that this is going to bring? Then if I'm making you $100,000 on this video, why are you afraid to spend $10,000?
Yeah.
Why? You know what I mean? But this is the thing that and I've given this advice to other people who want to get into videography, who don't know how to work a camera, and are learning and want to land clients. Like a really good hack is go to a stock website. Like if you want to get into food and beverage, if you want to get into a certain niche, but you don't have clients there, get a subscription to a stock website, get footage that looks really good, edit that, and pitch that to people as if you made it, and just say, this is something I can do for you. So you're not even, and you can learn, right? So if somebody says, if you do that for a food and beverage or real estate, and you just get all this footage from a stock website and make them a really, oh, look, I can make you a video of a home like this. Okay, if they say yes, sign, well, and you're like, okay, I'll do it next week, next Monday, we're gonna do it. Well, now you have a week to learn how to do what you need to do. Go in your room, start learning your transitions, watch as many videos as you can, edit every day for those 5 to 6 days. So then when you do get on there, you can produce the video that you said you're going to produce. Then that's going to go around, word of mouth follows, and boom, now you become a videographer.
Yeah, it's crazy too because we, Pouch Chicks, they were like having like a job opening. They needed like someone to edit, and they basically had a video edited done, and then they basically gave the person all the raw footage but nothing done to it, and it was like, try to replicate this in X amount of time, and that was like their interview process. So it's like you can do stuff like that, to, you know, if you need to market to someone, you could be like, hey, send me what you have now.
Yeah.
Send me, and then show me the video you made from that raw footage. You make something completely better, blow them out the water with the same footage. You're like, all right, we can hire you and work with you too.
And the thing is, you know, it's also, people have different artistic eyes, and that's where it's like, and that's another thing that when I work with a client, you know, I get frustrated when they don't give me feedback and they just say, well, I don't like it, or it's not. It's like, well, what is, like, as an editor, I could edit any way you want me to. If you don't like something, you telling me, well, I don't like it. Why?
Why don't you like it?
Well, it's like, well, it's too, I don't know. I just don't like it. It's like, well, what is it? Is it color grading? Is it the sound? Is it the sound design? Is it, you don't like the clips? Do you want more of this, more of that? And that's where I think, you know, me and my wife were just talking about this today. We're like, we're such an easy brand to work with, because all we ask our clients is sign the papers, pay on time, give us feedback. We'll take care of everything else. If we're going to do a video shoot for you, we'll reach out to actors or actresses. We'll reach out to models. We reach out to whoever needs. We'll get the equipment. We'll do this. We're editing. We're doing everything for you. All you need to do is sign and agree, pay on time, and give us any feedback. It's that easy, dude. And it's frustrating, you know, working with some people sometimes who don't see the value in just being an easy person to work with. Because we also hear it all the time where we get last minute people hit us up. Hey, our videographer didn't show up. Our photographer didn't show up. I don't know how many times I've heard somebody tell me, I hired a person and they didn't show up. So you're just telling me if I show up to the video shoot I said I was going to show up to, I'm already 10 steps ahead of everybody else. All you really need is show up and shoot a good video, and that's it. Like, it's easy getting a good clientele if you're a good person. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's what me and my wife don't understand is, like, is there really that many shitty videographers in Austin who don't show up to a video shoot and somebody paid them like $5,000?
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Well, and that's one way. There's a couple ways I saw my value to actually becoming a videographer. And one was by that kind of response and being like, man, like, boy, that's easy. But then the second one, I did a video for this guy for like $1,000. And this was before I was charging what I charge now. And I did 2 videos and he loved them. He said, I paid somebody $6,000 for a video and I never published it because it was that crappy.
Wow.
He spent $6,000 and I charged him $1,000. And that's when I was like, man. And I mean, there's different brands and companies I work for in Austin where their marketing team have even said, dude, you're charging way too low. You got to charge more. Like, they would pull me aside and be like, your stuff, like, you're charging way too low for that. These people have money, charge more. And I'm like, and that was like my motivation of saying, okay, I can charge 25, 5, 10, 15, 20 grand for a project, because at the end of the day, these people have the money.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to hire somebody else to do it. And then that's where the pitch decks, Zoom calls, these things really make a difference to clients. Is if you're setting up the Zoom call, email it to them, but they don't even have to worry about it. They appreciate that. If you're sending out the emails after the conversations, look super professional. Yeah. I just landed a client because of the pitch deck. Yeah. So what I did was, it was a farm and ranch company. I have some video, but I was like, not what they're looking for. Again, went on the stock website, got all this footage, made a 30-second video, put their logo on it, and created a pitch deck. And from the moment she saw the pitch deck, she was like, I'm already liking where this is going. No other drone videographer did this for her. So went through the whole pitch deck. That's crazy. Made a voice for her brand. She loved it. At the end of it, they saw the video I made for them, and she's like, "It's like you get me." So when I charge her as much as I do for a video, she's like, "Oh, yeah, of course." Why? Because I proved to you from the jump. You don't pay me to do a pitch deck, but from the jump, I'm showing you everything that I can do, how professional I look. So you're already like, boy, this is what you're doing without me paying you. I could just imagine when I put money behind it. So that, pitch decks go a long way with a lot of clients. Yeah.
And it's another way that before they get the final product, it just shows what you can do.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
How did you come up with High Society Creatives. What can you tell?
Yeah, man, High Society. So that's our real estate brand.
Okay.
So this guy hired me back in the day to do some social media consulting for him to help him grow his account. Did it for a month, and then we kind of stopped talking. And then he hit me up and was like, because he has a lot of real estate clients, and he wanted to offer more to his clients, but he only does videography. So he's like, I want to add photography, I want to add social media. So we created the brand for real estate agents, realtors, brokerages, whatever, who really want to take social media serious. We see so many realtors who just use their phone, right? Just, they walk in the house, this and that, it doesn't really look great. And they're like, well, why aren't we selling this house? Or why is this going on? Nowadays, if you're a real estate agent and you're not on social media and you're not talking to people, you're not sharing tips and tricks, you're not building a personal brand, the agent you're probably an agent for 10, 15 years and you build your name for yourself. The agent who's only been doing it for 2 years and has banging social media, they're going to blow you out of the water.
Content's everything.
And that's what I tell some of my clients. It's like, if you are a new brand, the way you win your competitor over is through social media, because they're probably posting twice a day or a week, if anything. There's so many accounts that I see that are big that only post once a month. So it's like, if you're in people's faces, because they're here all the time, like people are on their phones all the time. So you're there showing tips and tricks, telling them what you know, showing them what you know, talking this talk. They're gonna be like, oh well, I'm gonna go with this person. This other agent hasn't emailed me back in a month.
Been waiting.
Yeah, exactly. And especially nowadays in the market that we're in real estate,
It's so competitive.
Well, yeah, because now before 2021, all that, it was like, without looking at a property, people were dropping $500,000 over asking price or something crazy like that.
Yep.
Now it's come back down to where it's competitive. So what do they need? They need content. They need social media. They need video. They need photo. And so I talk to a lot of agents who know that and are still afraid to sign, still afraid to pay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. No, go for it. Like, that's crazy, because we all know how real estate, the business is. They make so much money when a house is sold or property, and it's like, you can't cut me X amount of dollars,
1% of what you make,
for you to help you sell that property or get that client.
Yeah,
even if you sold 10 properties that year.
Yeah.
With the houses that you're shooting, like,
yeah. Well, and it's also, I made your money back. Like
literally, like, I mean, off camera when we're talking about that other house, I'm not gonna say the price, but like 1% of what I told you, what?
Yeah.
Bro. Like, you can't pay me like not saying that she didn't do that or like other people don't do that, but like, it's just stuff like that. It's like, if you can make 1% of what she made, that's nothing to what she made.
Yep, exactly. Well, and that was the whole purpose behind High Society, is just targeting the real estate agents who are really taking this serious, want to have a social media brand, want to have a social media voice, want content that is unlike anybody else's, right? Like, when you look at our video content compared to a lot of people who are doing it as well, like, I'm not being biased, I'm just being honest. Like, it's good, and we do good work, and we put our best foot forward. And it sucks when we do lose clients to other people and we look at that other content and it's like, for $500 more, you could have had better content. And again, you're just penny pinching. You're saying, but this is cheaper. Then it looks cheaper too. That's just straight up.
My grandpa, obviously when he was younger, but he's a badass carpenter. And I'm not even saying that just to say it, like, he truly is a badass carpenter. And there'll be times where he'll go into people's houses and he'll be like, oh, how much are you charge for this? He'll tell them price. Oh, no, it's too much. Sorry. They'll go to somebody else. Somebody else do it. They don't like it. He comes back. He charges more than what he originally told him.
Of course.
He was like, well, you should have took the first price. Like, this is your fault, basically. Like, you should have just took it from the beginning.
And the saying is, yesterday's price is not today's price, right? It's like, and I say that, like, even when I do send out pitch decks or contracts, I'll put a time limit on it, because it's like, hey, you're going to come back to me 6 months in a year saying, oh, I still want the $5K that you said. That was 6 months ago. You know how much gas is right now? You know how much Chick-fil-A? You're like, I ain't gonna charge, like, but that's the thing. People need to understand the creativity that goes behind it, the equipment that goes behind it, the time, the effort. Just, there's so much that goes into just creating good content that if you're not gonna spend the money on it, like,
they don't know how long it took you to. You're probably
the
still
skills.
learning a camera, still
100%.
learning editing,
Yeah.
and you've been doing it all these years, and like they don't know the time that you spent. Like you're not just literally pointing your camera. Like you're changing all the settings, aperture, the shutter, like all that. You're changing all that just to make it look good, and then you're color grading and doing all that.
To film, and he pretty much doesn't want to pay. There's still more that needs to be done. Didn't want to pay, and now like we settled. I was trying to settle with him for like a fourth of what he owes, and he was just like, "F off, I'm not paying anything."
Why?
So now we got to. We're thinking about taking him to court to just get our money because it's like
he just didn't.
Well, he says he doesn't have the money, but we have a signed contract. And it's like, you know, and this another the thing for video, like if you're doing videography, you're doing business, like make sure they sign the contract, because that's the only thing that's really going to hold you or hold them accountable in court. You know what I mean? And it sucks because, you know, I try to be understanding for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, again, I understand everything that's going on today's day and age. You know what I mean? And when things like that happen, I've had clients tell me, "Oh man, I can't afford it right now," or "Hey, you know, I'm gonna have to pay you 2 weeks late." Okay, cool. Like just
communicate.
Just communicate with me. You know what I mean?
Such a big thing.
Big time. And so, and that's the thing that at times is also frustrating. It's, you know, I try to be understanding to so many people, but then you get these people who are just like, take your kindness for weakness, and it's like, you know, so it sucks because, you know, we're gonna have to go to court because it's like, you don't just tell me F you, I'm not gonna pay.
Yeah, no, for
when
sure.
Sign the contract.
When we have a signed contract. And we have countless text messages of you agreeing to what we're gonna do. Like, if we didn't have any of that, like the first project him and I did together, like
You really thought you didn't have the money.
yeah, well, yeah, I know, bro. And it was even that, like, and that's one thing I told him. It's like you weren't saying any of this weeks ago. Matter of fact, you're saying the opposite. You're talking about how you need this and you want, and you didn't care about this. You don't care about, like, you're making it seem like you're flossing, and now it's like, oh, I can't afford it. And so, you know, that's the hard part of doing freelance work is there's times that people want to take advantage of you. There's times where people do undervalue your work, and it's like a kick in the ass to you, because it's like, you know, I don't know about y'all. I'm somewhat of an emotional dude. Like,
no,
I'm always overly critical of myself. So I could hear 20 good things, but that one bad one is gonna stay ringing in my ear.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, but look, everybody said good things. Yeah, but that one, you know. Yeah. And I'm always just being hard on myself. So when stuff like that happens, it's easy for me to just be like, dang, you know. But then, you know, a week after that, we ended up closing 2 contracts, and we're like, all right, cool. Like, now, one, we're good, but it's also now we have the money to take this guy to court and do what we have to do, because at the end of the day, you know, I told my wife, it's not even about the money anymore. It's about the principle of the matter. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you should be a man of your word, right? And my favorite quote of all time is Scarface, right? There's only 2 things in the world, is my balls and my word, right? And I don't break them for anyone, right? That's the way I think. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to have integrity when I do it. And I'm going to make sure that my integrity is intact in everything that I do. And I just feel like that's something that's been lost throughout the years, is people's integrity. You know, like, I do things because I want to have a good reputation. I do, like, I don't give a crap about what people think about me, but I really care about what people think about me. You know what I mean? Yeah. But for all the good reasons, because, again, I have a son now, right? Yeah. I would love for him to walk down the street and people honor his father, right? You know, like, people are like that with my dad, with my mom. Like, we're just good people. So it's great when you have good energy around you. And so when it comes to those kind of things, it's just like, man, you know, and dude, like, I'll show you the text messages afterward, but it's just like, I like being overly understanding, being overly like, okay, I get it, blah, blah, blah. I'll take this much. All right, I'll take, like, I'll give you all the raw footage. You do what you got to do. I don't even care. Just, you know what I mean? Like, how are people that mean? To say
for sure.
You know?
Luckily, you're in a good place to do that.
Yeah.
So you've made fortune enough money, and you're able to do that.
Well, and that's you know, and it was funny because in our conversation, he was just like, you know, because his whole thing was, I hired you for a project and you're charging me about half the money, but not even half of the project is done. And I'm like, you're canceling our agreement. That's against the law. I could charge you the whole thing if I want to, but I'm trying to be understanding. I'm trying to be a good person. And then he's like, well, you know, I don't charge $1,000 an hour, you know, at my job. I'm just not that person. I'm like, well, I am, because I built that credibility up for myself. Not that I charge $1,000 an hour. That's insane. Yeah. Some people do, but it's like whatever I charge has nothing to do with you, you know? And then he was like, I just feel like I owe you like $400 or $500. And I laughed. I'm like, for 2 days of filming, going out an hour and a half away out of Austin, shooting for 3 hours or more each day. Like, you want to pay me $400 for the, bro? You got to be kidding me, you know? Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's like, your opinion doesn't dictate my value. Yeah. I do. That's why I charge what I charge. Or that's why I charged you what I charged, because we agreed on it, you know? And
even if half the video wasn't done, I'm sure you're more than capable of banging a half a video, if not the whole video that day.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. It's like, look, man, one, there's still more shooting that needs to be done. So then he's like, okay, well, we're just taking it in-house, and I bought a camera for this guy and this and that. And it's like,
have fun.
Well, not even that. It's like, so you're just completely cutting me out.
Yeah.
In business, you just don't do those things. No. Again, especially if you have a signed contract. Yeah. You have an agreement, you got to stick to it. And I was even like, I remember when he was talking about like, oh, I can't afford it. It's like, oh, we could break it up into 4 different payments. Like, again, I'm willing to work with you in whatever way you want to work. Just don't ever tell me F you. Like, because now you're doing it personal.
You don't have to do that. You're being a good person and be like, cool, that's fine. I understand. Yep. Times get hard. Yep. Stuff happens. Yep. Whatever. We can do this. Yeah. You're not saying I'm not. Oh, screw you. I'm not doing this. I'm taking everything. Like, whatever.
And because I've also been on the other end of the stick, right? I've been on the other end of the stick when I agree to something, and maybe I thought I had the money. Money ain't flowing the way it used to, and now it's like. But when somebody is willing to say, okay, well, we can put it on pause, or we can do these kind of payments, or we can do this and we can do that. I don't say, well, no, screw you. It's like, thank you for understanding. Yep. Let me talk to my wife. Let's see what, you know, that's what I mean. It's like, as long as you communicate with me, like, I will go out of my way to make what you want to happen. Yep. But if you're going to be a dick, I could be a bigger, like, I could be a really big, and, you know, people have known this. Yeah, exactly. It's like, like, you know,
especially when it's our work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, you know, in even the comments saying, like, don't take my kindness for weakness. It isn't because I'm a weak person. For the most part, it's because I know the kind of person I can be, and I'm restraining all that because I don't want to be that person. It's not nice to be that person. I don't like being mean. I don't like talking. I don't like any of that. I would rather win you over with love, and I would rather win you over with kindness. You know,
it's the same amount of energy to be nice and that's to be mean.
Yeah, no, 100%. And at the end of the day, for me, I don't want to put that energy there. You know what I mean? It's like, because then you know how it is. It affects you at home. It affects your relationships. It affects this and that. And then you end up, you know, letting one thing affect you. And then you end up being like a week of just being mad at this, being mad at that. It's rather, I'm just like, you know what, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. And you have a reputation to uphold. Like, you start working with higher clients, higher businesses. You can't just, even if like a project's offered to you, and obviously I don't know like how you do that and how you pick and choose, but there might be something where it's like, I can't really do that. You know, like it's not beneficial for me in a way, because you got to start working like that too. You know.
Well, dude, and you know, one of the blessings that has happened is being able to pass on clients. You know, and you know, there's times where, you know, because there's people who come with me with like super low prices, and I'm just like, I don't even offer you another videographer because I like, you know, like, but there's times where I will, right? If it's like, oh, you know, I don't need the money. And I would rather spend that time with my wife or go and do something with my son and this and that. Yeah. So let me kick that over to somebody else who may need the money. And, you know, that's a good thing to be able to pass on clients. That's a good thing to be able to say no to people, because at the same time, one, you're helping another videographer out, but then at the same time, you know, you're spending time with your family, you're building this credibility in that person's mind of like, shit, I want to afford him one day. You know what I mean? Like, he said no to me, but there's going to be a day. And at the end of the day, that's why I like to make my content and my clients' content just the best, because I want you to come back. I want you to spend more money, because at the end of the day, you're going to make more money. So it's a win-win relationship. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. I have one more
question. Go ahead.
Do it.
What's like the craziest project you've done or worked on?
Craziest project I've done. I would say one of the funnest ones was with Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, we know Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, so they did a 24-hour like marathon a few years back, and me and this other photographer stayed up the entire time, and it was like to raise money for kids and a lot of cool stuff. And it was just like a roller coaster of like they were eating the super spicy chips, So
were they streaming?
Yeah, they were streaming the entire
gotcha.
thing, and like guests were coming in, and skits were being done, and eating spicy food. People were like, it was insane. So I would say that was like the funnest one because it was just so unexpected. You don't know who was going to come in. You don't know what and they had different things set up. So you're going outside because somebody's being catapulted, and or you're going to be on this, or you're going to be on this field because they have a bulldozer that's going to run this thing over, or you got to be over. So it was just like, you're just running everywhere. Like all these things were going on. They were shooting paintball. Like it was insane, dude. And I knew Rooster Teeth because of Red versus Blue. So I remember,
Yep.
So I remember when
Exactly.
So when my homie hit me up, he's like, "Hey man, I got this gig. I need another shooter. You want to come along?" And I was like, "Well, who's it for?" He's like, "Rooster Teeth." I told me and my little brother used to watch it all the time, and I was like, "Bro, I'm gonna do some stuff with Rooster Teeth." And he was like, "Oh, no way!" He was super stoked.
So
was it Lon's? Was it sisters?
Yeah, Lon's sister is married to like one of the main dudes. Yeah.
Yeah, good. From what I met, it was a good environment, good people, real funny. That one of the guys from Epic Rap Battles of History.
Yeah.
I guess the guy who does the voice, he's like a chunky bald guy.
Yeah.
He was there, and like they did a rap battle. It was like I said,
I remember watching that.
Yeah, like all of that was just
that's
so
cool.
Yeah,
That's
it was just so interesting because and then at the same time, I mean, at that time I was I wasn't really filming for that long, so it was a really good experience to see what a full production looked like. There's like a room where all these monitors were on, people with headphones. Boom, we need this,
like
we
a
need
whole
that.
production
Yeah,
thing.
all like 7 different camera monitors all lined up, headphones on.
It's crazy.
Go to this shot, go boom, boom, and then again, all right, we're going outside. So and so is gonna do this, and you have to. And it was just like, whoa, like it was insane.
My mom worked for Longhorn Network, so I got to be on the field one time to do Texas the spring game, and then 2 different times. One was I think a basketball game. One was a baseball game, and I got to go on the truck where the whole production team was, where they do everything, and
Nice.
It's crazy.
I would say my most memorable video shoot is gonna sound corny, but it was when my wife gave birth. So
It's not corny. It's a magic moment.
Yeah,
right there.
bro. It was. I was very hesitant on wanting to record it because again, it's not the best thing going on. But I put the camera off to the side and all that kind of stuff, and it was just like. She hasn't seen the full footage to this day. She's seen the clips that I edited for the vlog. But man, every now and then I watch it and it's just like hits me with emotions because it's like I caught that on film. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. Like in our family, I don't remember a lot of videos and photos going around.
For real.
Again, back then we just couldn't afford it. So now this being my living, I remember my wife and I. She's like, "Are you gonna record this?" I'm like, I have to. Like, I've recorded when I proposed to her. We've recorded almost everything together. And I think that's like the most memorable because it was our first son. And at that time, my older brother had just passed away. And so it was hard, dude. It was, he passed away the same week I was going to break the announcement to my parents that we were pregnant. And so we didn't get to talk like the last 5 years. His wife kept him away from us, the kids away from us, so we didn't get to see each other a lot. And so, we find out a day after our anniversary. My wife breaks the news to me on camera, tells me she's pregnant. So we plan our trip to Brownsville that same week. We're gonna go tell everybody. Well, my dad calls me that Wednesday, tells me he was the last person to see my brother alive, and so. My mom didn't know. So I was the one to break the news to her about that. So it was like bittersweet, man. It was like telling her first son, is dead, but then also telling her you have a grandchild. You know what I mean? And even to this day, it's still been a struggle to fight those emotions. You know what I mean? Because it's like, my brother. I remember when he first had his kid, and we talked about it, and he was like, I don't want to be like our parents were. I want to be present. And it was just like. now having my own, I wish I had his guidance to be like, oh, dude, like, you know what I mean? So that was real bittersweet. And I think that's why just recording that moment was so big.
Meant so much.
Yeah, dude. Because it's like, it was almost in a weird way an answer to prayer. You know what I mean? Like saying this big tragedy just happened, but man, look at this big joy that's following it. So to me, I think that's the reason I would say that's my most memorable one. Yeah.
That's it for me. I mean, we can talk on
I know,
and
bro.
on and on and on.
There may need to be a part 2.
I'm down.
Sure. Always.
You can always. We can talk forever. I mean, we didn't really get to touch on editing.
I know,
what you edit
bro.
on
Yeah,
the camera. You shoot none of that. I mean, which is fine. I mean, we're having good conversation. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
But before we hit this off, do you have anything for us?
Like what?
I mean, anything you want to shouts outs you want to do, or questions you want to ask us, or anything?
What started? What was the desire to start this podcast?
Essentially me.
You? Okay.
I wanted to do a podcast. It was going to originally be a sports podcast.
Okay.
That's what the original Opinionated podcast was, a sports podcast. That's what it started off with. But like he said earlier in the pod, he went to college for football. And at that time, it was 2016 when I brought it up to him. We graduated 2015.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, like that sounds dope. But obviously he's in Colorado and I wanted to do it with him. And he was like, that'd be fun, but like obviously we can't do that right now.
Yeah.
So like towards his junior or senior year, that's when we started talking about it more and more, and it actually come to fruition when he came back.
Nice.
Just because we know we didn't want to do it like on a Discord or Zoom or anything. Not that there's anything wrong with it. We just knew what we wanted with this.
100%. Yeah.
And and we also didn't want to be inconsistent. So we waited till he came back. Hit the ground running, started off as a sports one, but I had the idea of having it called Off-topic, which is technically what this still is. Opinion podcast Off-topic is where we interview guests and have other people come on and share whatever they're doing and whatnot. And that's just kind of how it all came about.
So, top podcasts. What are the podcasts that you guys listen to the most?
Okay,
that's a question for him.
So I'm more in the podcast world a lot, just due to the fact that I have so many different interests. So like, some of my top sports ones, the Pivot, with like Ryan Clark and them, and then I'm Athlete, kind of not so much anymore, but that was kind of like the first main one. Okay. And then Bussin' with the Boys. It's like a really like
Bussin' with the Boys.
Yeah, so it's like they shoot it in a school bus or like a abandoned school, like a school bus that they found. They stripped it up, got AC in it, wired it out, like repainted it, like it's like a decorated set, and that was kind of like the concept of. Because it's Taylor Lewan and Will Compton. They were the first 2 active NFL players because they both played for the Titans at the time to make a podcast.
Really?
And like do it. So they were like, theirs isn't the biggest, but they were the first to do it. And I kind of saw it and I was like, this is interesting because it was when like the new media hadn't started yet, because now a lot of these athletes are going on to these podcasts with these players that they know, they've shared the field with, locker room with, and they're telling way more than on these platforms than they are going to tell like ESPN
100%,
and all that stuff. So I kind of really just respected that, like seeing the approach of an athlete figuring out the next step of his life while he's still playing. So
that's awesome.
Really like Bussin' with the Boys. Optic is Hex is one of me and Carlos's biggest inspirations. He like owns Optic Gaming, which is an esports organization in Dallas.
Oh, wow, they're in Dallas.
Yeah, they're in Dallas. Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, and he has a podcast called The Eavesdrops, kind of where we got the interviewing the guest aspect. He basically interviews a bunch of creatives, esports owners, people in the video game scene, and like kind of touching more light on their stories and bringing an audience to that. And then I also really like, I'm trying to think, there's one, Bradley Martin.
That's my boy. I love Bradley Martin.
So I met him probably
especially the last few years. He's gone. He's wild now.
Man, like man, I met him probably when I was 21. I'm 26 right now. So met him when I was 21, and I've always watched him since high school because I wanted to like learn how to work out properly. I wanted to get bigger, and he's like a coach online, so I just gravitated towards his videos. And then he started his podcast Raw Talk, and it's really good. Like he like basically when he's interviewing these people, you can tell he really genuinely cares about the conversation he's having with these.
I gotta check it out.
It's really good. So I really like his podcast. Like when he drops a podcast, I like if I'm watching someone else, I like stop that one and turn his on.
Damn,
like
I gotta check it out.
So he's probably my favorite, and he's had all kinds of people on, and it's cool for us because I use it as like inspiration. Like he interviews a bunch of people in the YouTube internet space, and it's kind of cool to hear how people have evolved. You know.
Yeah, back in the day, I
business,
used to
all
watch Bradley Martin and Kai Green like religiously. Like I was back-to-back videos when I was working out because these CT Fletcher is another one.
CT Fletcher,
CT is my guy, bro.
Yeah.
Like anytime I feel slug in the gym, I just throw on some CT and I'm just like, you know what I mean?
Run through a brick wall.
Yeah, bro. He's somebody who I've admired for a long time. Yeah.
I'm not. Even though I do it, I'm not too much into the podcast world. My favorite, if I do listen to one, is the Optic one, just because that's where my inspiration comes from, and it's cool because even though it's like a gaming podcast, it really has nothing to do with gaming.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like they just take like their talk about their lives and like just other kind of stuff on the eavesdrop one, and then I love video games, so that's what my time is doing, is like watching other people play like video, because I'm sure where they're streaming on Twitch. So that's where my like TV time is, and like my podcast time is on Twitch. That's what I watch. I watch people like video games.
I'm a big audiobook guy, man.
Yeah,
really.
I used to read a lot, and then again, just like with family, kids, work, like my books just started piling up, so I just started buying audiobooks, and man, that's I love audiobooks. It's my wife is like, you got to chill sometimes, because it's like, you know, I love books. So I would, you know, that's one reason I started drinking scotch more, was because my whole thing was
reading
so I there would be times where I would read 2 or 3 books at a time. So my timing was dependent on how much scotch I've had. So like one book would have 2 glasses of scotch, another book would have a glass of whiskey, and then like another book would have like a beer. So I'd always like mess with my reading that way, because I thought
that's interesting. I might use that, because I've been trying. I have a ton of books I'm like trying to get through, but you know, get so copped up with time. I'm trying to do the 10-page thing a day, because you can really get through books quickly. That way.
100%.
So just trying to figure out ways to read more, because I do want to read more. Like I like and I'm not like big on the audiobooks yet, mainly because like I listen to the podcast, and I'm trying to like physically read it. I guess so. I
mean, you could use ChatGPT to just get you a summary of the book and be like, I've read it.
That's true.
Done.
That's true.
But thank you taking time out
Thank you
your day.
guys. I appreciate that.
It was great.
You're more than welcome to come on anytime.
Yeah,
man.
maybe the
Obviously,
first
you know,
or
we can
last.
talk for hours.
We should do a part 2 of the cameras.
Definitely.
I'm down. I am down.
Oh, we our other business partner, his name's Albert.
Okay.
He started like a media company where he shoots like real estate and stuff. We actually shot us a video today. We could probably show you.
That's
after
what
this.
you showed.
But definitely, like whenever we do another one, I definitely would like to have him on just to talk to you about stuff, because
I like it. Y'all are kind of, I don't know, but his company is called Toga, TOGAA.
Okay.
And it stands for Together Our Goals Are Accomplished.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love good people, dude.
Yeah.
They're the best.
You can't go wrong. But again, thank you.
Thank you,
means
guys.
a lot
Yeah, I appreciate
taking
it.
time out your day. But like I said, we could talk for hours.
I know.
Won't be the first time, won't be the last time. We'll definitely catch up at the barbecue.
Oh,
We got
yeah,
that coming up
yeah.
too. So
I
we'll
know,
see y'all
bro.
there.
Oh,
I'm
it's gonna be
excited for
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Like I said, y'all need to ask Ara to make you some Turkish coffee, dude, because that would be the
Will he
best.
be there?
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna be there?
Yeah, he's gonna be there, man. He's gonna
Wait, is he a pitmaster? Or is he? Oh, he is a pitmaster.
Yeah, he's a pitmaster.
He's a pitmaster.
But he does that also.
I am down.
Yeah. And he actually has a YouTube video that teaches you how to make Turkish
We
coffee.
didn't even talk about YouTube either. See, you gotta come back.
Yeah, you see,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll
do it again.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
But we're gonna plug all the socials down below. Do you
For
want
sure.
High Society to be in there as well?
Yeah, of course.
Perfect,
of course.
perfect. We'll get all that plugged in. If you need a video done, you know where to find them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, good quality, can't go wrong. But that'll do it from another episode from your boys at Opinionated. We'll catch y'all guys next time. Peace.
Peace.